God damn, they're really showing nothing. Not to mention, this was a pretty great announcement.
Yeah, hey, and however many are left to hear, I don't know, a bunch of probably bounced. If any of you fighting game want to see another Darkstalkers again, you buy the Fighting Game Collection. Don't sit there and just collect material for your folder for Morgan. Buy the game. Don't say you love Darkstalkers and that you want Darkstalkers and never buy Darkstalkers.
He's actually right.
You want a new Darkstalkers? Buy the Fighting Collection.
Capcom literally a while ago. They literally said he's actually right. Like genuinely, if you guys give a shit, this Capcom Fighting Collection is a test of people's interest for other fighting game collections, much less the future of the franchises that might be in it. Not even kidding you. Like, and it's admitted from developers that is absolutely what these are.
Hello guys, NautoAce here, and this will be a response to Miles923, Matt from YoVideogames, and Mugen Lord on the Capcom Fighting Collection. So this is actually a follow-up on my thoughts on the Capcom reveal, which is, like I said, the Capcom Fighting Collection and Street Fighter 6. So in the case with Street Fighter 6, makes sense, it's popular, Capcom Cup, esports, synonymous to a lot of video gamers, you name it, whatever. Even for someone who's not into Street Fighter or video game, they know that, hey, I know that guy in the white gi or in the red gi, Ryu and Ken from Street Fighter. So with that said, a follow-up on Capcom Fighting Collection. You see in the beginning was Matt from YoVideogames talking about that, hey, if you want a returning franchise on modern times, you better buy this collection, which is the Capcom Fighting Collection, which include, of course, 5 versions of Darkstalker, which came out before, but only in Japan, as well as some other cool games such as Hyper, Street Fighter 2, Pocket Fighter. It's a fun game. I played it on the PS1. Cyberbot, Puzzle Fighter, that's a popular one. And of course, the biggest one here is Red Earth. Like I said, this game never came out outside of Japan, not in the arcade, not even from home console. So this is the first time legally that came out outside of Japan. But the biggest key here is the 5 Darkstalker game, because what Matt basically was talking about is that if anyone who is a uber super fan of Darkstalker, you gotta buy this. Let Capcom know that you're interested with the Darkstalker franchise, and maybe they'll consider doing a new franchise. And again, credit to Matt McMuscle. He actually talked about this before in what they call it, the Capcom Test, which is, that's basically something to do with Capcom in general. But what it is also is called the Hype Franchise Test. Now, some people call it, there's another terminology, but mostly if you're into a Capcom game, it's a Capcom Test. To some extent, the other term is the Hype Franchise Test. And what it is that if you want a particular franchise to come back in modern times, you want a rejuvenation, a revival, you can say, then you gotta prove to the company that by its franchise, whatever it is, to some extent, whether it's books, game, whatever, any franchise that's related to this particular product or franchise, buy it, support it, and then they'll get the idea like, oh, well, a lot of people like this particular franchise, we might consider it. So when it comes to Darkstalker, which what Matt was talking about, you buy this fighting collection, and perhaps to some extent that Capcom might consider a new Darkstalker, because yes, first of all, we're gonna stick with the Capcom Test. Even so, other term that comes in, like I said, the Hype Franchise Test, but we're gonna focus more on the Capcom Fighting Collection. Is the Capcom Test is that they done this before. They tried it, especially we don't know when Street Fighter 4 came. people said, wow, that's awesome. Street Fighter is back. Oh no, convinced the higher up to do it. So he tried it as well with Darkstalker. The problem is the data show that Darkstalker is kind of less popular than Street Fighter. So what they did was they try and bring during the HD era for the PS3 and 360 is Darkstalkers Resurrection. So what people don't know what that game is, it's a indie game for $15. It comes with Darkstalker 2 and Darkstalker 3. Unfortunately, they're vanilla form, not the better version, not the PlayStation 1 version or heck the PSP versions. So it's the vanilla version with rollback netcode from what I understand. However, people said it wasn't good. And it had some other content and additional DLC that really doesn't do squat. It was more cosmetic. So it was for $15. And the idea behind it that even Ono himself said, support this game, then chances are we might get a new Darkstalker. Fortunately, the mass said, no thank you. This game sucked. It's not really fun. I don't believe it's worth $15. And the sale wasn't there. And yes, the reason why the sales were bad, there were a lot of factors. Some say because the netcode wasn't good, even so it was rollback. And some of them was because this is at a time that the general consumer, the gamers as well, that indie games should be $10 or below. Yes, because if you don't know, a little tidbit that when the 360 started, they have two categories. Retail game for $60 max, and then they have indie game, arcade game, smaller game that should at least the maximum MSRP of $10. That was always been the rule. Microsoft kind of revolutionized that rule. But the problem was, after a while, there was some complaint from the company said, well, this game is a bit big, but we can't sell it for $10. We're not going to make any money. So to some extent, Microsoft was trying to be lenient to a point that they're starting to have indie games for $15. That was Darkstalker Resurrection. And the math said, well, nah, this game should have been $10. It's not worth $15. And people refused to buy it unless it was on sale. And then, of course, to some extent, Sven said, Christian Van, aka the market jerk, he no longer worked for Capcom, but it's a different story there. They said they had to sell it $15 because that's how they make their money back. And from what I understand, that even with $15, they hardly make money back on those Capcom indie titles. So yes, so I want to give credit to Mac McMuzzle. He did a video about Darkstalker, especially Darkstalker Resurrection, because like I said at a time, Ono did say support this game if we want a new Darkstalker. And like I said, people didn't do it due to the price wasn't right, the content wasn't there, and people said whatever. So to a point that Christian Van, the market jerk, basically said, yeah, poor sale, no Darkstalker. And then someone else from Capcom said, yeah, there's no Darkstalker anytime soon. And then Ono, post-launch of the game, admitted and said, yeah, well, people didn't support Darkstalker Resurrection, so guess what? We can't make a new Darkstalker. The higher up doesn't want to do it. So, yeah, that sucks. That's a great example of the Capcom test there. And there's even another one, an example was the Mega Man Legends 3, but that was more a BS because the reason why they canceled the game was they said that not a lot of people were interacting with the prototype program, which again, you share your idea, whatever. That was weird. And another one, from what I understand, again, it could be rumor, is that people also said from Capcom that, well, once in a while there were some Mega Man Legend on sale, PSN on PlayStation 3, PS1 game on the PS3, because once in a while they'll have like a sale for Mega Man Legend 1, 2, and the Misadventure of Trombone. And they even said, well, people didn't buy them, they were on sale. We were hoping that at least people would buy the PS1 game on their PS3. I'm like, really? So you see what I'm getting at? Like, that's a BS Capcom test there, but Yeah, they were blaming the fans because they didn't do the prototype, they didn't interact with the prototype, and to some extent, people weren't buying the PlayStation 1 Mega Man Legend games, even they were on sale, which is whatever. It's kind of dumb, but it is what it is there. So as a result, poor sales, meaning no new Darkstalker during the HD era. So moving forward to this Capcom Fighting Collection, Mugen Lord, Mouse923, Matt from YoVideogames said, if you want a new Darkstalker, to some extent Cyberbot, Red Earth, whatever, but mainly Darkstalker, you gotta buy this game. You gotta show Capcom that you're interested, and that Capcom themselves is actually putting a lot of resources in this game. Rollback network, so that's probably gonna be good. Gallery mode, game's gonna be 1080p or higher to some extent. Improvement, quality of life, so that's a lot of resource for $40. Yes, it is a $40 game, and not only that, they're even going one up by making it physical. And I forgot to mention that one of the complaints also was that the lack of physical game in the West with Capcom. People keep saying that you gotta give them an option for a physical game, but at a time, according to Capcom, it's just too much and not a lot of people care about it, which is false. For the Capcom Fighting Collection, they are going all out. Good netcode, rollback, content, lots of games in it, and they're gonna have a physical release. So they're probably not gonna get a lot of things back because you're putting a lot of research there. So what they're saying is, if you really, truly want a new Darkstalker, then you gotta buy this game, the Capcom Test. What do I think about it? For me personally, don't take it personal. I don't like that mentality, but unfortunately what Max said, it is something a lot of companies do it. A lot of times they have to use this resource in order to get a data if you really want it or not. The reason why I don't like this, I'm not a fan of the Capcom Test, is that you're dictating your consumer, oh, you want a new game? You better buy that game. So not only are you spending $40 and then finally a new Darkstalker, you're spending $60. So basically they just want your money. Cash grab, some people even say that. Again, it's a problem of a catch-22. They do it and then they find out that not a lot of people care about Darkstalker. They wasted resource. Okay, well, we need data, so you gotta buy this game. Now they look like, well, you just cash grab because you want money. Oh, money for this retro collection, now money for this new franchise. You're a greedy bastard. Again, they don't know what to do. They want to make sure you don't do the game, people get pissed. They do the game, and to find out that, well, I guess the people who wanted it wasn't really, they didn't want it. Again, you got that situation, and it is sort of a problem, but yeah, it is sad that some of the business, they have to go to that approach, the Capcom Test or the hype franchise test. It is irritating there. So for me personally, should you buy Darkstalker or the Capcom Fighting Collection for a new Darkstalker? For me personally, I'm gonna say is that it's up to you, really. It sucks, but again, if you really want a new Darkstalker from Capcom in modern times, then you're gonna have to save $40 and buy it. Like, they need that data. They want to see if people really going to buy this to support that particular franchise. It sucks, but that's what happened. They need that data, and it sucks. So some people say that, yeah, you better buy it. Like, are they telling you should buy it? Well, some, when they're saying that, they probably are an uber Darkstalker fan or whatever. But for me, yeah, I like Darkstalker, it's fun, but I'm not gonna tell people if they should buy a thing or not. It sucks, but again, because one thing that people don't like, and everybody knows, especially when you're working to some extent, is nobody wants to be told what to do. That's the problem. When you say, oh, you gotta buy this so Capcom can do a Darkstalker, true, but at the same time, what it looks like is that, hey Capcom, why are you telling me to buy this so you can do a new Darkstalker? Why not just do a new Darkstalker, which Again, they don't want the risk. So here's the problem there. Yeah, so for me personally, it's up to you. For me, am I going to buy it at full price? You know me, I'm a cheap bastard. I'm going to wait for a sale like always. And that's also the problem. The reason why they don't want to do a physical release, because say the game finally comes out of June, within 6 months, you'll be surprised. Maybe a year from June of 2023, all suddenly the Capcom Fighting Collection is $20. So you go, oh, that's good. Now I can buy it cheap. Yeah, that's good for the consumer, but that's not good for business. That means they're getting less cut for it when retailers are slashing the price, because they do cut a loss, and that loss gets affected by the company. They don't like that too. So yeah, it sucks, but again, it is what it is there. So yeah, so in conclusion, it's up to you whether you want to support Capcom with this Capcom Fighting Collection to bring a new Darkstalker in modern times or not. It's up to you. I'm not going to force you, but like I said, trying to be mindfulness, gotta throw them a bone to some extent, but yeah, it sucks there. So with that, I'll see you guys later.